The last message, CIA's unbroken code that shocked the intelligence world. The hum of the night was punctuated only by the soft whirring of servers deep within the CIA's clandestine communications hub. In a world where secrets carried the weight of nations, the discovery of a single signal could tip the balance of global power. Analysts moved quietly across the dimly lit room, their eyes scanning streams of data that appeared to make no sense to anyone untrained. But to them, each line could be the thread that unraveled a mystery spanning continents. In the middle of this high-security maze, a young cryptographer named Michael Kerrigan sat hunched over his terminal. Michael was not just skilled, he had an instinct, a rare sense that allowed him to perceive patterns where others saw chaos. The CIA had recruited him specifically for his uncanny ability to decode anomalies, signals that other experts dismissed as random noise. But tonight, Michael's intuition told him that something extraordinary was hidden within the digital static. Hours passed in near silence, broken only by the occasional low murmur of colleagues exchanging brief observations. Then, a flicker across the monitor caught Michael's Aja sequence of numbers and letters repeating at irregular intervals, almost imperceptible in the background of routine transmissions. He leaned closer, his pulse quickening, realizing that this was not just random data. It was a message, and not just any message. This was a signal encoded in a way that the world had never seen before. The implications were staggering. Such a code, if fully understood or intercepted, could provide absolute advantage to the one who controlled it. It could allow intelligence operatives to communicate across oceans, continents, and borders with near-perfect secrecy. But the risk was equally immense. If it fell into the wrong hands, the consequences could ripple through governments and agencies, triggering crises that could redefine alliances. Michael immediately initiated a secure channel to inform his superior, a seasoned operative named Laura Reynolds. Laura had overseen covert communications for decades, and her calm demeanor belied a mind trained to recognize both opportunity and danger. When she saw the pattern Michael had uncovered, her sharp eyes narrowed. This is unlike anything we've handled before," she murmured. "It's sophisticated, almost as if it's designed to test our intelligence as much as it protects its own." As they delved deeper, the room around them seemed to vanish. Every ping, every sequence became a pulse in a larger story of spies, codebreakers, and shadowed rooms where secrets changed the fate of nations. Michael and Laura worked through the night, piecing together fragments of the signal, aware that with each revelation, they were edging closer to something that had remained hidden from the world for decades. The silent signal was not just a code. It was a message from the past designed to influence the future. And as dawn approached, Michael understood that this was only the beginning. The code demanded attention, understanding, and above all, absolute discretion. One wrong step, and the world might never see the full truth. But for those in the room, the architects of secrets, the thrill of uncovering something unparalleled was intoxicating. An irresistible call to chase the invisible threads of intelligence that wove the fabric of global power. By the time the first light of day seeped through the blinds, Michael and Laura had identified the origin of the signal. An encrypted relay buried in a location no one could trace without the proper keys. The discovery marked the start of a race silent, deadly competition to decode, protect, and ultimately understand the message that could alter everything the CIA knew about covert communication. In the quiet aftermath, Laura looked at Michael and said, "We've just opened a door no one else even knew existed. The world won't realize what hit it until it's too late." Michael nodded, knowing the journey ahead would challenge every principle of secrecy and trust they had ever relied upon. The silent signal had spoken, and those who heard it knew that nothing would ever be the same. The subterranean corridors of the CIA's most secretive facility were an architectural testament to secrecy: steel walls, biometric locks, and motion-sensitive cameras that observed every movement with relentless precision. Even the hum of the ventilation system seemed purposeful. A rhythmic pulse that mirrored the tension in the hearts of those within. Deep inside, in Level Omega, a place only accessible to the agency's most trusted cryptographers and operatives, the team worked tirelessly. It was here, amidst banks of servers and tangle of encrypted lines, that the silent signal began to reveal its true complexity. Michael Kerrigan had spent countless hours dissecting digital anomalies, but nothing had prepared him for what lay before him now. His eyes, tired but sharp, scanned streams of data that twisted like living entities across multiple monitors. Each string of characters was more than numbers and letters, they were carefully constructed hieroglyphs, designed to mislead, confuse, and protect. For a moment, he could feel the presence of the mind that had created this code, as if the original architect were watching his every move, testing his resolve, challenging his intellect. Across the room, Evelyn Vargas worked with serene intensity, her fingers dancing over her keyboard in a rhythm that seemed almost choreographed. Evelyn was a legend in cryptography circles, known for her ability to uncover patterns hidden within layers of deliberate chaos. Yet even she paused occasionally, leaning back in her chair to let the enormity of the code sink in. "This isn't just encryption," she said softly, her voice tinged with awe. "It's a masterpiece of deception. Whoever designed this didn't just want the code to be unbreakable, they wanted it to be a shadow of misdirection, an enigma that could trap anyone who tried to solve it too quickly." Laura Reynolds entered the room, her footsteps quiet but authoritative. Her eyes, scanning the monitors, reflected a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Encrypted shadows," she murmured, almost reverently. "It's aptly named. Layers upon layers, each one meant to mislead and protect simultaneously. This is intelligence art at its highest level." The team began to understand the extraordinary sophistication of the code. Unlike conventional encryption, which could be methodically tested and eventually solved with enough computational power, this system was dynamic. Keys changed constantly, sequences were influenced by time, environmental inputs, and even the identity of the sender and receiver. Every false lead was intentional, every repeated sequence designed to waste the time and energy of anyone trying to decode it. The code seemed almost alive, responding to probing attempts with subtle shifts, as if it had a consciousness of its own. Hours turned into days. The team developed a system to track the false signals, mapping them in complex diagrams, tracing pathways through the maze of encryption. Michael noticed a pattern. Certain sequences were responsive to external digital footprints, tiny, almost imperceptible variations in system traffic, weather data, even global satellite pings. The code wasn't just secure, it was adaptive, evolving in real time to maintain its secrecy. During one long night, Evelyn paused and leaned closer to Michael's screen. "Look at this," she whispered. "It's a loop within a loop. Every time we think we've solved one layer, another reveals itself. This isn't just a code, it's a living puzzle, and it's testing us." Michael nodded, feeling the weight of her words. Their work required patience beyond normal human endurance. Every discovery brought relief, but also deeper uncertainty. One wrong assumption could erase hours of progress. Laura, sensing the mounting tension, reminded the team to pace themselves. "This is a marathon, not a sprint," she said. "We have to respect the shadows, approach every sequence as if it's sentient, every false pattern as if it's a sentinel guarding the truth." Meanwhile, external forces were already in motion. Unknown to the team, subtle digital footprints of the silent signal had already been noticed by other intelligence agencies, some allied, some adversarial. The race to understand, intercept, or even exploit this code had begun on a global scale. Every keystroke by Michael and Evelyn, every calculation by Laura, could potentially trigger responses from invisible watchers, making precision and discretion paramount. As the team dove deeper, the human dimension of the challenge became apparent. Fatigue, doubt, and pressure threatened to erode their focus. Evelyn began having brief hallucinations of patterns moving off the screen, shadows forming letters that weren't there. Michael, sensing her strain, suggested micro-breaks, though they were reluctant to step away from the data. Laura monitored them both, ensuring that their physical and mental endurance didn't falter. In this labyrinth of encrypted shadows, even a moment of weakness could be disastrous. Finally, after days of relentless focus, they uncovered a breakthrough. A sequence buried within layers of misdirection revealed its true purpose, a fragment of the message that had been concealed from the world. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but undeniable. Michael stared at the screen, breathless. "We've found the first piece," he whispered. "It's small, but it's there." Laura's expression remained composed, but her eyes held a flicker of something: intense anticipation, caution, and respect for the genius behind the code. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We've stepped into the labyrinth. Every shadow we uncover will lead to another. We must remain vigilant, because the code has been designed to challenge not only our intellect, but our very instincts." Outside the facility, the world remained unaware of the silent struggle unfolding in a nondescript building. Invisible currents of intelligence, deception, and innovation were colliding, unseen by anyone but those involved. Within the facility, the team prepared for the next layer, knowing that what lay ahead would test their skills, their patience, and their understanding of trust and secrecy. The encrypted shadows had begun to yield, but the path ahead was treacherous, fraught with uncertainty, and alive with the tension of discovery. Michael, Evelyn, and Laura understood that they were now part of something larger than themselves, a silent war in the digital domain, where the stakes were global, the risks immeasurable, and the consequences far-reaching. In the quiet aftermath of this breakthrough, Michael looked at the code on his screen, feeling a mixture of awe and trepidation. The shadows had revealed their first secrets, but the full message, the true purpose of the silent signal, was still hidden, waiting for those bold enough to chase it through layers of deception, through time, and into the heart of global intelligence itself. The morning light barely penetrated the reinforced windows of the CIA's secure operations floor, but the glow of monitors bathed the room in a cold, unwavering luminescence. For Michael Kerrigan and his colleagues, the passage of time had little meaning. Days and nights blurred into one continuous pursuit of patterns hidden deep within the silent signal. Yet today, a new element would emerge: an agent whose mind was as critical as any algorithm, a human key to unlock the deeper mysteries of the code. Agent Nathan Hale had been quietly monitoring the project from a distance, his presence known only to Laura Reynolds and a handful of senior officials. Hale was a veteran in the world of covert intelligence, a man whose reputation was built not on brute force, but on the subtle orchestration of information and human networks. He understood that some secrets could not be broken by machines alone. They required intuition, judgment, and the ability to anticipate human behavior. Michael noticed Hale's arrival immediately. The agent's demeanor was calm, yet there was an intensity in his eyes, a sharpened awareness that seemed to measure everything. In the room, the way Evelyn typed, the angle of Laura's gaze, even the rhythm of the code pulsating across the screens. Hale moved silently to the terminal, positioning himself beside Michael. "I've been briefed," he said, his voice low, precise. "But I need to see it in action. I need to understand how you perceive the signal before I can contribute." The trio stared at the complex encryption, lines of numbers and letters swirling in patterns that seemed almost alive. Hale's gaze was analytical, but his mind was already mapping possibilities, tracing logical paths while simultaneously assessing potential psychological traps embedded in the code. "This isn't just math," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "It's a language, and someone wrote it with the expectation that it would never be fully understood without a human mind in the loop." Laura nodded, her expression approving. "Exactly. Machines can process the code, but only a human agent can anticipate the intent behind it. That's why we brought you in, Nathan." You're the bridge between raw data and actionable intelligence. Ours turned into an intense collaboration. Hale observed the patterns Michael and Evelyn had uncovered and began pointing out subtleties that had gone unnoticed, the way certain sequences corresponded not only to time and frequency, but also to operational context, historical precedent, and geopolitical pressures. Each observation was like a key sliding into an invisible lock, revealing glimpses of the structure behind the chaos. At one point, Hale leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "They've embedded behavioral triggers," he said. "Segments of the code react to the operator's tendencies. Every analyst leaves a fingerprint, subtle but detectable, and the system adapts. It's designed to test its users as much as it protects its contents." Evelyn's brow furrowed. "Behavioral triggers. Are you saying the code can anticipate us?" Hale nodded. "Not anticipate in a predictive sense, but it can respond to our biases, our methods. It's a psychological trap as much as it's cryptographic. To succeed, we have to recognize our own patterns and consciously work against them." The revelation shifted the dynamic in the room. The encrypted shadows were no longer merely a technical challenge. They were an intelligence exercise, a test of human perception, resilience, and collaboration. Michael felt a thrill of exhilaration, tempered by the weight of responsibility. One wrong move could misalign the entire approach, wasting precious time, or worse, revealing vulnerabilities that external observers might exploit. Over the next several days, the three of them developed a rhythm. Michael and Evelyn focused on isolating structural patterns and identifying false leads, while Hale continuously challenged assumptions, pointing out potential psychological pitfalls, and prompting the team to reconsider how they interacted with the code. Their work became a delicate dance, a balance between computational logic and human intuition. In rare moments of conversation, Hal shared insights from his operational experience, anecdotes that seemed casual, but were in fact lessons in pattern recognition, deception, and trust. "Every agent you've ever read about in history," he said one evening, "has been in the loop of information they didn't fully control. That's where mistakes happen, where secrets leak, and where power shifts. The code doesn't just encode messages, it encodes caution, discipline, and perspective." Michael realized that Hale's contribution was more than guidance. It was a lens through which the code could be understood. By considering the human factor, they could approach the encryption from angles that no machine, no algorithm, could replicate. They began to see the shadow of the architect behind the code not as a faceless entity, but as a strategist, a mind attempting to communicate across decades through puzzles designed to preserve secrecy while challenging intellects worldwide. Yet for all their progress, the stakes remained terrifyingly high. Whispers of international attention reached Laura Saf's office, discreet alerts suggesting that other agencies were aware of the silent signal, perhaps even observing their breakthrough attempts. The human agent in the loop became a critical safeguard. His instincts and judgment could prevent the team from making mistakes that might compromise the entire project. During a particularly tense session, a segment of the code appeared to react to their methodology, shifting patterns in real time. Michael's heart raced as he watched letters morph into sequences that contradicted previous observations. Hale immediately recognized the trigger. "Step back," he commanded. "You're responding predictably." That's what the code wants to mislead us into overconfidence. Treat it as a mirror, not a puzzle. Following Hale's advice, Michael and Evelyn adjusted their approach, introducing deliberate variability into their decoding strategies, alternating analysis methods, and even varying their keystroke timings. Slowly, the code stabilized, revealing hidden segments that had been dormant, providing the first real glimpse of the message's structure. The agent in the loop had proven indispensable, his understanding of operational psychology bridging the gap between human analysis and encrypted complexity. By the end of the week, they had mapped an intricate lattice of the code's architecture, uncovering pathways that hinted at the depth and intent of the silent signal. For the first time, they could see the skeleton of the communication system, a lattice of sequences that, once fully decoded, could deliver intelligence in ways previously unimaginable. Laura observed the team with quiet satisfaction. "The human factor has been the key," she said. "Machines alone would have failed. It takes judgment, patience, and instinct to navigate these encrypted shadows. Nathan, you've proven why a human in the loop is essential. And Michael, Evelyn, your brilliance continues to uncover the invisible threads woven into this code." Michael, exhausted but invigorated, leaned back, realizing the enormity of their task. They were no longer just observers of the silent signal. They were participants, guardians of a secret whose magnitude extended far beyond the walls of the agency. Every breakthrough, every insight, carried the weight of global consequence. The agent in the loop was not a mere operator. He was a linchpin in the survival of intelligence itself, a testament to the fusion of human perception and digital mastery. As the night deepened outside, the team remained vigilant. The encrypted shadows had begun to yield, but the maze was far from complete. They understood now that their challenge was not simply to decode a message, it was to become part of an intelligence continuum, a living, breathing network where every human decision could amplify or obscure the truth. The silent signal was no longer just data. It was a test, a legacy, and a warning, all intertwined in a code that would demand every ounce of skill, ingenuity, and trust they possessed. The atmosphere in Level Omega had shifted. What had once been a place of cautious observation and incremental breakthroughs had transformed into a battlefield of intellects. The silent signal was no longer a distant mystery, it was a living challenge, demanding mastery over every nuance of cryptography, psychology, and human intuition. Michael, Evelyn, and Nathan Hale felt the weight of responsibility like a physical presence, pressing down with every keystroke, every calculated pause, every attempt to anticipate the code's next move. Breaking the unbreakable was no mere phrase, was a directive that carried the weight of history since the signal's first detection. Whispers had circulated among senior CIA officials that the code represented a paradigm shift in covert communications. If decoded, it could allow operatives to exchange critical intelligence across continents without leaving a trace. If misunderstood or exposed, it could unravel entire operations, jeopardizing agents, alliances, and national security. The stakes were global, the consequences monumental. Michael returned to his terminal, his eyes scanning the swirling sequences with relentless focus. Each layer of encryption was more elaborate than the last, a multidimensional puzzle designed to test every skill he had acquired. Evelyn sat beside him, her analytical mind tracing loops and interconnections that seemed almost infinite. Hall moved between them, providing guidance not only on operational strategy, but on how the human mind could navigate the deception embedded in the signal. "The complexity isn't just numerical," Hale noted, his voice low but firm. "It's behavioral. Every analyst leaves patterns, keystroke timing, methodical tendencies, even subconscious biases. The code can detect, react, and redirect based on those inputs. To break it, we have to be aware of ourselves as much as the data." Michael nodded, aware of the subtle pressures bearing down on him. The code seemed almost sentient, shifting in response to their analysis. At times, sequences appeared to stabilize, only to morph again moments later, introducing layers of misdirection so sophisticated that even Evelyn's seasoned mind faltered. It was as if the architect of the code had anticipated every conceivable approach, embedding traps within. Traps, a labyrinth of numbers and letters designed to challenge not only the re-intellect, but the perseverance of those attempting to breach it. Hours stretched into days. The team's work became a continuous cycle of hypothesis, testing, recalibration, and reflection. Every breakthrough revealed another layer of complexity. It's a new facet of a system that had been meticulously constructed over decades. The silent signal was a fortress of intellect, its battlements invisible, its gates unyielding. Yet within the labyrinth, glimpses of truth emerge, fragments of the ultimate message. Small glimpses of structure within the chaos. One night, as the city slept far above them, Michael noticed an anomaly in the code's response patterns. It's a series of sequences that had previously defied explanation, now revealed subtle repetitions, hints at the underlying logic that governed the encryption. "Look at this," he murmured, drawing Evelyn and Hale's attention. "It's a nested loop of code within the code. It's hiding its own architecture in plain sight." Evelyn leaned forward, her fingers tracing the patterns on her terminal. This is brilliant. Whoever created this understood how analysts think. They've used our own methods against us, embedding false leads and decoys, guiding us through a maze that only reveals its structure to those who can step back and see beyond the obvious. Hale nodded gravely. "And that's the point. The code isn't just protecting a message, it's teaching, testing, and refining the minds that attempt to decode it. This is why a human in the loop is indispensable. Machines can process data, but only humans can recognize the traps, anticipate deception, and adjust strategies dynamically." Their approach evolved. The team began introducing deliberate randomness into their decoding methods, alternating sequences, changing analysis routines, even varying their physical interactions with the systems. Every predictable pattern they had unknowingly left behind could be exploited by the code to mislead them. And now they fought not only the encryption, but their own instincts. Slowly, incrementally, progress was made. The nested loops began to yield fragments of coherent information, patterns that hinted at the message's underlying structure. Michael and Evelyn documented every breakthrough meticulously, cross-referencing anomalies and testing every hypothesis with Hale's guidance. The pace was grueling, the mental strain immense. Yet the thrill of uncovering what had once been deemed unbreakable was intoxicating. Amidst this relentless pursuit, the external world continued its invisible scrutiny. The team knew that other intelligence agencies were observing, probing, and perhaps attempting their own breakthroughs. Any misstep could alert adversaries or compromise sensitive operations. Every decision, every keystroke, carried a weight that went beyond the immediate room. It extended into a global web of intelligence, secrecy, and stakes beyond imagination. The breakthrough came at dawn, the kind of revelation that crystallized weeks of exhaustive effort into a single, undeniable insight. A segment of the silent signal, once thought to be an indecipherable tangle of numbers and letters, revealed its function as structural key to decoding the next phase of the message. Michael felt his pulse quicken as the realization struck him. They had breached the first true barrier. Laura Reynolds, observing the breakthrough remotely, allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction. "The code has been tested, challenged, and it has yielded," she said, her voice calm but tinged with awe. "But the journey is far from over. This is only the first layer of what the silent signal has prepared. The real test lies ahead, and the unbreakable will continue to test us at every step." For Michael, Evelyn, and Hale, the exhilaration was tempered by the enormity of the challenge. They were no longer merely analysts. They were participants in a struggle against a creation designed to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast them. The silent signal demanded not only intellect, but patience, ingenuity, and unwavering focus. Breaking the unbreakable was no longer a metaphor, it was a mandate. And every moment of insight brought them closer to a revelation that could reshape the entire landscape of intelligence operations. As the day dawned over the city, Michael glanced at the cascade of data on his screen, realizing that the labyrinth of code had begun to reveal its architecture. But the journey through the shadows was far from complete. Each breakthrough was both victory and warning, a reminder that even the most brilliant minds were only players in a larger game. A test of human resilience against the enduring genius of a message crafted to challenge the very limits of intelligence. A race against time, the city above hummed with oblivious life, unaware of the storm of intelligence warfare brewing in the subterranean depths of CIA headquarters. Level Omega had become a nerve center, a place where hours stretched into days, and every second carried the weight of global consequence. Michael Kerrigan, Evelyn Vargas, and Nathan Hale had now breached multiple layers of the silent signal, revealing its intricate lattice. Yet the deeper they ventured, the more they understood the stakes. The world was not waiting patiently, and neither were those who observed from the shadows. The first signs came subtly. Subtle shifts in network traffic, faint anomalies in satellite data, intercepted fragments that hinted at external awareness. The silent signal was no longer a private challenge. It had attracted attention from other intelligence agencies, some allied, some adversarial, all eager to understand or exploit its secrets. The race against time had begun. Laura Reynolds convened a secure strategy session. "We've uncovered structural keys, patterns within patterns," she said, gesturing to a digital map of the code on the central monitor. "But every breakthrough has been observed. Every action, every keystroke, leaves a trace. Others are watching, analyzing, trying to anticipate our moves. We cannot afford mistakes." Nathan Hale leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Time is the adversary now. We're not just decoding a message. We're operating in a race where delay equals exposure. Every hour we spend refining analysis, they gain insight into our methods, our pace, even our vulnerabilities. We need to accelerate, but carefully. Precision cannot be sacrificed for speed." Michael and Evelyn returned to their terminals with renewed focus, understanding that the nature of the code demanded simultaneous strategies: decoding, misdirection, and anticipation. Every approach had to be validated against the possibility of external observation. Each keystroke, each methodical step, became a part of an invisible game, a chess match in which the moves of unseen opponents could determine success or disaster. Hours bled into a tense rhythm of discovery and countermeasure. Michael's pulse quickened each time a new pattern emerged, yet he had learned caution. The silent signal was a master of deception. One minor misstep could trigger false leads, sending them down a labyrinth of irrelevant sequences while outside observers closed in on the real insights. Evelyn meticulously documented every anomaly, cross-referencing variables that spanned geographic data, time-sensitive sequences, and operational triggers embedded within the code. Nathan Hale played a critical role in this high-stakes race. His understanding of human behavior, operational strategy, and the psychology of other intelligence agencies provided the team with a unique advantage. He anticipated not only the code's internal misdirections, but also the potential reactions of adversaries monitoring their work. His interventions, precise and timely, allowed the team to navigate the unfolding chaos with a rare combination of foresight and discipline. The silent signal itself seemed almost aware of their urgency. Certain sequences shifted unpredictably, introducing time-sensitive variables that demanded immediate attention. A delay in recognizing a trigger could obscure critical information or mislead the team entirely. The tension was palpable. The room felt alive with the pulse of digital war lines of code pulsing across. Screens like veins carrying the lifeblood of secrets. At a pivotal moment, Michael identified a segment of the code that appeared to synchronize with global communication networks. "This isn't just encrypted data," he realized aloud. "It's dynamically connected to external systems, designed to respond to temporal and environmental changes. The code evolves in real time, and we have to keep pace." Evelyn's fingers flew over her keyboard. "We're chasing shadows that move faster than we can see. But if we synchronize our analysis with these cycles, we might predict the next shift, anticipate the responses, and capture the message before anyone else does." Hale interjected with a calm but urgent tone. "This is not theoretical anymore. There are other players in this game. Our progress is visible, and the window for decisive action is shrinking. We have to prioritize critical segments, allocate resources intelligently, and maintain operational security at every turn. Every second matters." The team adopted a synchronized approach, working in shifts. alternating analysis routines and introducing deliberate variability to mask patterns. Each breakthrough was measured against its potential exposure. As they progressed, glimpses of the message began to emerge, fragments of information that hinted at strategic insights. Operational protocols and historical context encoded within the silent signal. Externally, the clock was ticking. Intelligence agencies from around the globe were racing to intercept, decode, or exploit what Michael and his team were uncovering. In this invisible competition, delays could be catastrophic, and precision was the only path to survival. By the fifth day, the team had successfully mapped the first comprehensive layer of the code, revealing structural sequences that provided a window into the silent signal's ultimate design. Michael leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We're not just decoding a message anymore," he said. "We're orchestrating the race itself. Every decision we make influences outcomes we can't yet see." Laura Reynolds' voice broke through the quiet tension. "The code has demanded vigilance, endurance, and collaboration. It has tested not only intellect, but judgment, strategy, and resilience. The race against time is not a metaphor. It is reality. And for those who control the message first, the power to influence intelligence operations on a global scale will be immense." The room settled into a tense quiet. Outside, the city continued its oblivious rhythm, unaware that the fate of covert operations, global alliances, and the very understanding of intelligence communications rested on the precision, intuition, and relentless focus of three individuals in a subterranean labyrinth. As night fell again, Michael, Evelyn, and Hale prepared for the next stage. The race against time was far from over, but their synchronized effort, combined with human insight and analytical brilliance, had brought them closer than ever to the heart of the silent signal. The world beyond their secure walls remained unaware. Yet the invisible clock was ticking, and every second now counted toward revelations that could redefine intelligence forever. The hum of servers in Level Omega had taken on a cadence almost like a heartbeat. Steady but insistent, each pulse carrying fragments of the silent signal, each light flicker a whisper of secrets hidden in plain sight. Michael Kerrigan, Evelyn Vargas, and Nathan Hale had been immersed in the labyrinth of encryption for days without pause. They had uncovered the architecture of the code, mapped sequences, predicted shifts, but the final transmission awaited. Elusive and monumental, the culmination of decades of secrecy. Michael's eyes were bloodshot from sleepless nights, yet his focus was unbroken. Every line of code seemed alive, writhing with possibilities. "We're at the edge," he murmured. "Everything points to a final layer, something we haven't anticipated yet." The code has saved its most critical secret for the very end. Evelyn, usually unflappable, glanced up from her terminal, her hands poised above the keyboard like a pianist preparing for a performance. "This is it," she said quietly. "The final transmission. Whoever designed this knew that only a human mind, patient and methodical, could see the pattern and extract the truth. Machines can process data endlessly, but the revelation requires intuition, insight, and timing." Nathan Hale stepped closer, his presence calm but commanding. "We've synchronized our strategies, anticipated every behavioral trap, and accounted for external observation. Now it's about precision. One mistake could corrupt the final decoding, or worse, trigger alerts to adversaries monitoring the signal." For hours, the team navigated the final labyrinth. The silent signals code reacted dynamically, sequences shifting in real time, responding not only to computational input but to their analytical patterns, the rhythm of their typing, even the pauses between decisions. It was as if the code itself were alive, testing their resolve and determination. Michael discovered that the last segment of the code integrated global signal satellite communications, crypted diplomatic channels, and network latencies, blending them into an intricate matrix that required simultaneous analysis across multiple domains. Evelyn quickly realized that predictive algorithms alone would fail. Intuition, a sense of pattern beyond the obvious, was critical. Nathan Hale monitored their approach, guiding adjustments to counteract potential misdirection. "Remember," he cautioned, "the code anticipates our methods. We must introduce variability, remain unpredictable, yet precise. Treat the final transmission as a puzzle and a mirror. Observe, interpret, and adapt." The room was a tension-laden arena of human intellect versus digital perfection. Each breakthrough brought a surge of exhilaration, followed immediately by the challenge of the next layer. Michael traced a series of loops that, at first glance, appeared chaotic, but revealed hidden connections, threads of a message that had waited decades to be unveiled. Evelyn mapped interdependent sequences, isolating the signals from noise, while Hal ensured that their human responses did not trigger the code's reactive decoys. Hours stretched into a relentless pursuit of understanding. Fatigue threatened to cloud judgment, but determination propelled them forward. The silent signal's final layer was a test of endurance as much as intellect, a crescendo of cryptographic artistry designed to reward the patient and punish the hasty. Then, just before dawn, a breakthrough. A subtle alignment of sequences revealed the first coherent fragment of the final message. Michael stared at the screen, heart pounding. It's forming," he whispered. Letters and numbers coalesced into meaningful data points, a structured transmission that hinted at operational protocols, intelligence frameworks, and historical insights encoded for posterity. Evelyn's voice was barely audible, filled with awe. "It's credible. Every piece we've uncovered has led to this. The final transmission, it's not just a message. It's a map, a blueprint, and a testament to the precision and foresight of its architect." Hale observed silently, the tension in his posture easing slightly. "We've reached the threshold," he said. "The human element, our judgment, patience, and collaboration, this has been the key. The code was unbreakable without it. Now we are witnessing the culmination of decades of intelligence engineering." As the first full message materialized on the screens, the team realized the magnitude of their achievement. The silent signal had been decoded, layer by layer, each step a test of human intellect and resilience. The final transmission contained insights that could redefine the methods of intelligence communication, offering a glimpse into an invisible architecture of information that had shaped global operations for decades. Laura Reynolds, watching remotely, allowed herself a rare smile. The code has tested them, challenged them, and they have prevailed. The last message is no longer a secret, is history revealed. A monument to intelligence, patience, and human ingenuity. Michael, Evelyn, and Hale sat back, exhausted but triumphant. The hum of the servers had shifted, softer now, as if acknowledging the end of the code's long vigil. Outside, the world remained oblivious. Yet within level Omega, the silent signal had been unraveled. For the first time, its secrets, its architecture, and its purpose were fully understood. And though the challenge was complete, the implications stretched far beyond the walls of the facility. The team knew that their work would influence intelligence operations for years to come. A silent testament to the power of human collaboration against a creation once deemed unbreakable. The last transmission had spoken, and those who had listened had changed the course of intelligence forever. The final transmission had revealed the last layer of the silent signal, but its echoes resonated far beyond level Omega. Michael Kerrigan, Evelyn Vargas, and Nathan Hale had spent days navigating the labyrinth of encryption. Yet the true weight of their discovery only became clear as they studied the decoded framework. The code had not only conveyed a message, it had created a blueprint, a hidden archive of intelligence strategy, and a subtle guide for future operatives. Michael leaned back in his chair, staring at the intricate arrays of numbers, letters, and patterns that now made sense. "It's more than data," he whispered. "It's a testament, a chronicle of how intelligence survives, adapts, and evolves." Evelyn adjusted her glasses, her fingers moving lightly over the keyboard as she traced interconnections that had seemed impossible at first glance. Every layer was a lesson, she murmured. The code wasn't just protecting information. It was testing us, teaching us, and revealing principles about strategy, security, and human judgment that no algorithm alone could convey. Hale walked slowly along the perimeter of the lab, his eyes scanning the dimly lit monitors. "And now the responsibility falls on us," he said. The code was unbreakable without human insight. Its final lesson is not about breaking barriers, but about understanding the consequences of what knowledge can do. The room was silent except for the hum of servers, now dimmed after the final sequences had been decoded. Each breakthrough had brought exhilaration, tension, and revelation. And now, the final message, the essence of the silent signal, stood revealed. Intelligence was as much about restraint, foresight, and collaboration as it was about secrecy and analysis. Michael scrolled through the last lines of decoded data, revealing historical operations, secure communication frameworks, and strategic philosophies embedded across decades. Every insight confirmed what they had long suspected. The silent signal was a living archive, a repository of human ingenuity, and a reminder that information alone was powerless without wise custodianship. Evelyn's voice was soft but resolute. "We've seen the message, but its impact will ripple for decades. It will influence how intelligence is conducted, how messages are transmitted securely, and how future agents approach complex operations. This isn't just history, it's a foundation for the future." Hale nodded. "And that's the true lesson. Knowledge carries responsibility. Secrecy carries obligation. And those who wield intelligence must do so with humility and discipline." The team sat back, absorbing the gravity of the moment. The silent signal had spoken, not in a loud declaration, but in quiet precision, teaching those who could interpret it the value of insight over haste, patience over impulse, and collaboration over ego. If you enjoyed this story, tell us which country you are watching from in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more cinematic intelligence documentaries to life. Make sure to visit our channel regularly and stay tuned for upcoming episodes in the series. Channel disclaimer: English. Ending story. This documentary-style story is created solely for educational and informational purposes, based on publicly available resources and historical intelligence principles. Some details have been fictionalized for narrative purposes. Spy Ward's story does not promote any agency, ideology, or political agenda. Always refer to official sources for confirmation of historical events and operational facts. The content is designed for learning, storytelling, and audience engagement only.